No, 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 no. Oh, God.
Wait. Something just changed. Emergency signals are suddenly lighting up across multiple U.S. military bases. Sirens begin sounding, and radios crackle inside command centers. Within minutes, transport squadrons across the Air Force are placed on full combat alert, because after Iran launched a wave of missiles toward Israel, Washington began preparing for something much bigger. Across multiple command centers, officers stare at their screens as new reports continue to come in. Satellite feeds show missile launches, radar systems track objects crossing the sky. The situation is changing by the minute. The order spreads quickly across the United States. Air Force bases receive the same message almost simultaneously: combat readiness and immediate deployment preparation. Inside military barracks, Marines and soldiers begin moving. There are no long briefings, no speeches, just clear orders. Buses arrive outside the buildings and troops grab their gear and climb aboard. The buses roll toward the airfield where massive great transport aircraft are already waiting, their engines silent and their rear ramps open. The cargo bays are empty, but not for long. On the flight line, ground crews are already preparing the aircraft for rapid deployment. Forklifts begin moving across the tarmac as ground crews rush between cargo pallets and aircraft ramps. Boxes of equipment start stacking up quickly: communications systems, ammunition containers, portable generators, and medical supplies. Everything is loaded fast but carefully. Inside the aircraft, loadmasters secure every crate with heavy cargo straps so nothing can shift once the aircraft is airborne. Another convoy soon arrives and armored vehicles slowly drive up the ramp: wrap trucks, tactical jeeps, and light combat vehicles. Each one is chained to the aircraft floor. At this point it becomes clear that this is not a routine mission. This is a large-scale military airlift designed to move troops and equipment across continents within hours. While the transport aircraft prepare for departure, another operation begins at nearby airfields. Rows of fighter jets sit parked along the runway while maintenance crews move quickly between them. Panels are opened, systems are checked, and radar units are tested. Every wire, every control surface, and every sensor is inspected carefully. Because these aircraft may soon be flying continuous combat missions, weapons teams arrive pushing missile carts across the runway. Air-to-air missiles are carefully lifted into place, while guided bombs are mounted beneath the wings. Each weapon is connected to the aircraft's targeting systems, and safety pins remain in place until just before takeoff. Inside the command buildings, military planners begin analyzing possible scenarios. Intelligence officers study satellite imagery and regional reports. If the conflict expands, additional forces may need to move into the region quickly. Airlift operations like this one allow the United States military to move thousands of troops and hundreds of vehicles across the world in a very short period of time. For decades, aircraft like the C-17 Globemaster have served as the backbone of rapid military deployment. Back inside the hangars, soldiers prepare for deployment. Duffel bags and rucksacks are packed with everything they might need: protective gear, extra uniforms, and field equipment. No one knows exactly how long they will be gone. Weeks, months, maybe even longer. Some soldiers make quick phone calls while others sit quietly, checking their gear again and again. Outside, the sky slowly turns orange as evening approaches. The atmosphere inside the hangar is tense but focused. Everyone understands that once the aircraft take off, the mission officially begins. Then the order finally arrives: prepare for boarding. Troops line up in columns on the airfield. One group after another begins walking toward the aircraft. Boots echo against the metal ramp as soldiers board the massive C-17 transport planes. Inside the cargo bay, seats line the walls while equipment is stacked in the center. Loadmasters perform the final checks: cargo secured and head count confirmed. The ramp slowly rises and the door closes. Moments later, the engines roar to life. One by one, the aircraft begin taxiing toward the runway. The aircraft line up along the runway under the glow of bright airfield lights. Then the first transport plane begins its takeoff roll. The engines produce a deep thunder as the massive aircraft accelerates down the runway. Seconds later, it lifts into the air and disappears into the night sky. One by one, the rest of the aircraft follow, climbing into the darkness as they begin the long journey toward the Middle East. Hours later, the aircraft approach their destination. Landing lights cut through the darkness as the C-17s touch down on a military runway somewhere in the Middle East. The ramps drop almost immediately and soldiers step out onto the hot desert airfield. Vehicles are unchained and driven off the aircraft while forklifts unload. Cargo pallets at a rapid pace. Everything moves fast because these aircraft will not remain here long. Within hours, they will fly back to the United States to bring even more troops and equipment. Across the base, activity continues through the night. Fuel trucks pull up beside fighter jets parked along the runway. Mechanics connect refueling hoses and begin pumping jet fuel into the aircraft. Weapons teams conduct their final inspections. Missiles are checked, bombs are armed, and navigation systems are tested. Pilots arrive for mission briefings where they review maps, targets, and operational plans. In nearby operations rooms, commanders continue monitoring developments across the region. Radar screens display aircraft movements across hundreds of miles of airspace. Intelligence teams track missile launches and military movements. If the situation escalates further, additional forces may be deployed in the coming days. For now, the priority is establishing a strong military presence capable of responding to any new threat. By morning, every aircraft on the flight line will be fully ready for combat missions and ready for whatever comes next. The buildup continues as more transport aircraft arrive carrying additional troops, equipment, and supplies. Large military operations often take days or even weeks to fully assemble, but the first stage is already underway. For the soldiers now stationed at this base, this place has become their temporary home. There is no clear timeline for the mission and no confirmed return date. But one thing is certain, the military buildup has already begun, and more aircraft are still on the way. Across the region, military forces remain on high alert as the situation continues to develop. If you want to stay updated on major military developments happening around the world, make sure to subscribe to the channel because the situation is still unfolding and new updates could come at any moment.